The Flash fails to win and wins to disappoint. Next up on Just the Talk, so let's talk about it. And welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, 0718. We're going to get right into this. I'm already seeing the headlines right now. And it seems from Deadline, I've heard some people say 60 million, rounding it up. But it's saying it is 55 million, at least on Deadline's headline, 55 million for the weekend. Now, I didn't really read into it. I listened to a couple people assessments online. The question really is for me, am I surprised? Not really. I didn't really have any kind of grasp on where this would go because, to be honest, if you ask me, it was anybody's game. The hype was fabricated. Yes, but when you look at the B Cinnamon score, from what I understand, it has. Yeah, it has a B audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. On Rotten Tomatoes. Bottom line, a lot of people, I got an issue with people assuming that if you have a B Cinnamon score, if it's not A or A plus or A minus, it's a horrible film. Like, I don't like those type of judgment calls on any kind of film. But this film is going to be a case study of so many things working against it. I sat back and listened to a lot of people try to figure it out. I think there's a big element a lot of people are missing. YouTubers have been driving a lot of fractured variations of the universe, whether they want to boycott the WB for the Snyderverse, whether they want to come at James Gunn for prior indiscretions, if they want to come at James Gunn because he shut down a lot of scoopers. A lot of YouTubers are very mad that he shut down a lot of their scoops, fucking up their money. So any cracks in the ship, and they're going to make sure that you hear that the ship is damn near halfway underwater when the crack just was created. They want this ship to go the fuck down because of how they feel about, they want their share of retribution and their pound of flesh. You know what I mean, as it were. Now, that being said, also, I have to admit, a lot of you guys are right. I personally, because I know the fandom and the general audience are very different beasts, but the fandom is the gap, the missing link between the general audience and the studios. So when now the people that you need to touch, the street people, the people on the ground, are at odds with you, whether they're doing it for YouTube clicks, beefs, or whatever, you're going to have an uphill battle selling your film because they're out here bad mouthing it. And if not just bad mouthing it, they are actively working against it. They want it to fail because, again, like I said, tit for tat retribution. Call it what you want to call it. That being said, then you have this weird will they or won't they thing with the universe at hand. The universe that people are accustomed to, with these characters and the face of these characters being who they are, i.e. Superman. Then you create this 1 minute you push for Henry Cavill to come out here and say he's coming back, to then renege once you bring in your studio. That goes to show you that instead of waiting for everything to be brought together, coordinated together, as things were happening, you were throwing things out there. I'm sure Zaslav wanted Henry Cavill to be involved, but once he's tapped who he wanted to be at the studios, and they came back around and was like, let's just get rid of everything, start from scratch. You played yourself. You already thought that they would go on further, but once they gave a pitch, hey, get rid of it and start from scratch, fine. Then I'm going to be real with you. When you come out before The Flash to talk about this whole new universe being rebooted to the tune of so many projects you mapped out, which was not needed to be seen no time soon. When people was saying, hey, what you gonna do, what you gonna do, what I will say is James Gunn needed to not deal with the YouTube game. Now, I'm the first defender of him clapping back, because in the clap is the back. Once you start, I finish. I'm a big person down with you starting, I finishing. If I finish big. So you can't get mad at James Gunn coming at anybody trying to put words in his mouth or leak information before he ever gets a chance to put it out there. You can't get mad that he wants to clap back, but now once you get into the clap backing, now you're going to have to go back and forth, and that's going to be the expectation, and that's going to be the motivation for more hate, and yada, yada, yada. So they're going to relish in any misstep that you make, because now for them it's personal. They needed to stay up out of talking to fans. This is why they don't talk to fans. It's because of how you guys respond, and you expect and feel entitled because they make the big bucks that we should be able to do whatever we want. We're your bosses type of attitude. And it's like, all right, there's a level of that's true, but there's another level where that's not. And at the end of the day, if you want the studios to continue dealing with your franchises, you're going to not only have to show up, you're going to have to show up with a little bit more decorum and respect. Because people might just nerf it all and focus on other franchises in which they'd rather get a bigger return. Maybe not in a bigger lump sum, but in terms of profit percentages, they'll probably fare a little bit better. So again, we got to ask the question now. Who's to blame? And this is going to be handed around by everyone, including Ezra Miller. And I'm the first one to say, I don't think the Ezra Miller had as much to do with it as many people believe. General audience have not been paying attention to it, and WB has been very well at keeping this out of the public domain. And let's be for real, when the victim everyone seems to be fighting for says, no, I was no victim, then it kind of like kills any idea and prospect that there's a case to even ponder that could ever happen. And it can't, because the victim's saying she's not a victim. Everything else is speculation. Can we at least discern that something not right with that man? Yeah, but you could discern that from, way before then. But at the end of the day, we're here now. And look, I think also, well, let's go through it all. There's been a lot of the false hiccups and starts of whether will they, won't they with the Snyderverse. Then you have a fractured Snyderverse, and then they're fractured amongst them. Then you got Ezra Miller's issues, which you're trying to keep contained, which you did pretty well with. And then now to add more sauce to the game, you want to have all these other people, credible people, mind you, come out and praise this film, which people are going to end up seeing the film regardless. Don't get me wrong. I get how you think, hey, with a B+, we could push this over the board with great marketing. And this proves, once they don't like you, it don't matter what your movie has done. And there's been a lot of concerned effort to make sure that people not like what's being done, even up to in all these other revamping and false starting the universe. Basically, not so trying to reset the tones, try to make it more comedic, then trying to make it more like MCU, then trying to borrow from MCU directors, and it's you lost your identity along the way and staying the course. You know what I'm saying? Being hyper reactionaries finally caught up, because everything you've done, even revamping the universe, which you needed to do, still stood on the shoulders of remnants of the old universe. What you should have said was, hey, we got the movie, we got a couple movies we standing behind right now, we'll get back to you. Well, in order for us to see any of your movies, we need to know if there's going to be an invested future. That was ridiculous from the fans, but now we've created an entitled fandom where they feel like just because they buy into a film that they need to be basically on the board or something. They need to have the biggest rundown of all the ideas and concepts that's coming, and it's nobody's business until the movies come out. Then when it crashes and burns, the same YouTubers that are crapping on them for not having a plan are gonna say, hey, well, you shouldn't have told us so much that you was going to do. And it's like, nah, it don't work that way. The fans are part of the problem, a big part of the problem. The online community is what it is. We're reactionary just the same. We won't watch a movie unless we know that it's part of a larger universe and expect it to have like several different other movies. But I mean, we gotta take one movie one at a time, a good movie at a time. And this is what you're gonna probably have to resort to doing. Announce a standalone film and build off of that standalone film. No need to drop a whole DCEU map. That's a dub. I would stop that. I say right now we want to work on one good movie at a time. This is the first good movie we're working on. We have higher prospects for it, and we're gonna go that direction with it. That's what they should have done. Bad marketing, poor marketing, and then also putting way too much pressure on setting up for things down the line. Because then now all the movies are nothing but big advertisements for what's to come. And then now you have a fandom that expects these movies to do that. And then what do you think the movie's going to be? One big commercial for the next movie. And that movie's going to be a commercial for the next movie. And if these movies don't work, then you're committed to the commercial because the movie was one big commercial for what's to come. And this is coming from a guy that has not seen the Flash film. I don't know where they're going to go with this. I've heard, people are already leaking it. And that's another thing. The concerted effort to leak the film and destroy the film from ever progressing because you believe that in the ashes of this destruction will be the rebirth of the Snyderverse or what have you. You can't expect these things. It's only making the fandom something more untouchable, something that people do not want to have to deal with directly with, and it's going to turn a lot of good talent from wanting to be a part of anything moving forward because of how we respond to films, whether we like them or not. The in-house fighting is not helping, and now we've got a fandom that is so fractured that you're going to produce these type of numbers. A B+ score, but no one's going to see it to the level that it needs to make its money, at least so it seems right now. They're going to have to pray for legs, and legs right now are just gonna make them at least expect to just go under budget. It's crazy. What could they do moving forward? I don't know, but we'll talk about that down the line. But let me ask you guys, what do you guys think is the real issue behind this? We're gonna continue to discuss this all throughout the week because everybody is going to. It's gonna be easy cachet to get the conversation going, but most importantly, I'm really curious to know, will anyone be a little self-aware and look at what fandom has done and how the fandom has marketed this film? For better, for worse, it doesn't really matter at this point. And everything that comes with it, the dressing, the trims, and the bells. I'm talking about the arguing, the yelling, the bickering, all of that we selling for this fandom. Did that not add to it? This is one good ingredient soup of a clusterfuck. All the worst things that could ever happen that doesn't need to came together to build one awesome storm that the Flash seemingly won't be able to survive from, and maybe even the studios. Now, a lot of people question whether or not the studios are torpedoing their films on purpose. That's up for a later discussion. But seeing how everything is falling off from how the Black Adam thing was handled, everything, all the things that we're seeing from behind the scenes are starting to spill over and is affecting the product. Even when audiences are still saying for the most part it's a B+ film. But unfortunately, B+ for the audience nowadays can be just as good as a total F. And where do we go from here when we have a fandom that is so fractured, and albeit even a lot of them very entitled, how do you get them all on board on one singular direction? We don't know, but that's something that we're gonna have to, a question that we're gonna continue to ask later down the line. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.